My grandma left $2.5 million to her cat and cut the family out of the will. The conference room at Sterling and Associates smelled of lemon polish and old money. I sat at the head of the mahogany table, my hands folded on top of a thick, leather-bound portfolio. Across from me sat my family, my mother, my Aunt Linda, my Uncle Bob, and two cousins who were already browsing Zillow on their phones for beach houses. They looked like sharks in Sunday best, their eyes glittering with the anticipation of a payday they had been waiting for since Grandma got sick 5 years ago. "Well?" Aunt Linda snapped, tapping a manicured nail on the glass surface. "Let's get on with it, Roger. We have reservations at the Ivy for lunch. To celebrate Mom's life, of course." "Of course," I said, keeping my voice neutral. I glanced at Mr. Sterling, the estate attorney. He gave me a subtle nod. He knew what was coming. He had helped Grandma draft the document 6 months ago, while she sat in her armchair, stroking the orange tabby cat that never left her lap. "As the executor of the estate of Margaret and Miller," I began, opening the portfolio, "I will now read the last will and testament." The room went silent. You could hear the hum of the air conditioning. "To my children, Linda, Robert, and Susan," I read, "I leave the sum of $50,000 each." "50,000?" Uncle Bob choked. He stood up halfway, his face turning a dangerous shade of purple. "That's it. Where's the rest? Mom had millions. She sold the factory in '98. She had investments. Please hold your questions until the end," I said calmly. $50,000 won't even cover my credit card debt," Linda hissed to my mother. She must have been senile. "We can contest this." "To my grandchildren," I continued, "I leave my collection of porcelain figurines and the contents of the attic." My cousins groaned. "Great. Trash," one of them muttered. "And finally," I said, taking a deep breath, "to my beloved companion, the one who stayed by my side when the house was quiet and the phone didn't ring, to Mr. Whiskers." I paused. I looked at them. They were confused. "I leave the remainder of my estate, including the liquid assets, the investment portfolio, and the primary residence. Total value estimated at $2.5 million. The silence shattered. It wasn't a gasp, it was an explosion. "The cat?" Linda shrieked, standing up so fast her chair fell over. "She left the money to the cat? Is this a joke?" Bob demanded, slamming his fist on the table. "Roger, is this some kind of sick prank? Did you write this?" "It is a legal document," Mr. Sterling interjected smoothly. "Drafted, witnessed, and notarized while Mrs. Miller was of sound mind." "Sound mind?" Linda laughed, a hysterical, jagged sound. "She left $2 million to an animal that licks its own butt. She was crazy. We're taking this to court." "Wait," I said. "There's more." I turned the page. "The funds are to be held in an irrevocable pet trust," I read, "for the care, maintenance, and comfort of Mr. Whiskers for the duration of his natural life. Upon his death, any remaining funds shall be donated in full to the Happy Tales Animal Rescue Foundation." "So we get nothing?" my mother whispered. "Even after the cat dies?" "Correct," I said. "Unless." "Unless what?" Bob leaned in, his eyes narrowing. "Unless the cat dies soon?" I saw the look in Linda's eyes. It was cold. It was calculating. She wasn't seeing a pet, she was seeing an obstacle. "We just need to get rid of the cat," Linda whispered. She thought she was being quiet, but in the silent room, it sounded like a scream. "If the cat runs away, or gets hit by a car, the trust dissolves, right?" I smiled. It was the smile Grandma had when she played gin rummy and knew she held the winning hand. "Read paragraph 4, clause B," I said. Mr. Sterling cleared his throat and read aloud. "If Mr. Whiskers should die of unnatural causes, disappear, or suffer any harm that cannot be attributed to old age or documented illness, the police are instructed to investigate my children first. Furthermore, an independent forensic necropsy will be mandatory." Linda paled. And, Mr. Sterling continued, the trust mandates 24-hour surveillance. The cat will wear a GPS tracker, and the designated caretaker will submit monthly veterinary reports to an independent trustee. Who is the caretaker? Bob asked. Who controls the money? I am, I said. You, Linda spat. You get the millions? I get an annual management fee, I corrected her. A salary. To ensure Mr. Whiskers lives in the lifestyle to which he is accustomed. Which, according to the trust, involves living in Grandma's house, having a heated bed, and eating fresh salmon. You tricked her, Bob yelled. You manipulated her into this. I visited her, I said softly. Every Sunday. For 5 years. I brought her groceries. I fixed her router. You guys called on Christmas. Maybe. This is insane. Linda grabbed her purse. I am contesting this. I am suing you, Roger. I will drag this out until that cat is dust. I wouldn't do that, Mr. Sterling said. He didn't look up from his papers. Why not? The no contest clause, Sterling said. Paragraph 6. If any beneficiary contests the validity of this will or the trust in any court of law, their specific bequest of $50,000 shall be immediately forfeited and added to the principal of the pet trust. Linda froze. Her hand hovered over the door handle. You lose the $50,000 if you sue, I clarified. And since the trust is irrevocable and fully funded prior to death, you will lose the lawsuit too. Grandma locked this down tight, Linda. She knew you. Linda looked at me. She looked at the portfolio. She looked at her brother. $50,000 was still money. It was a lifeline for her. If she fought, she got zero. She slowly sat back down. Fine, she seethed. Fine. Enjoy your cat. I hope he scratches your eyes out. He's actually quite affectionate, I said. To people he likes. I closed the portfolio. But the meeting wasn't over. I had one last thing to read. Grandma left a letter, I said. Handwritten. She wanted me to read it to you after the will. I pulled a creamy envelope from the back pocket of the binder. I opened it. To my children, I read. I know you are angry. I know you think this is unfair. You spent your lives waiting for me to die so you could inherit what your father and I built. You didn't want a mother, you wanted an ATM. If you had visited me half as often as Mr. Whiskers sat on my lap, this would have gone differently. He gave me comfort. You gave me excuses. Enjoy the $50,000. Spend it wisely. Love, Mom. My mother started to cry. Real tears this time. Not for the money, but for the truth of it. Bob stared at the table. Linda just glared at the wall, her jaw tight. Meeting adjourned, I said. I walked out of the office. I got into my car and drove to Grandma's house. I unlocked the door. Mr. Whiskers? I called out. The orange tabby trotted into the hallway. He rubbed against my leg, purring like a diesel engine. You're a rich man, I told him, picking him up. Let's get you some salmon. I settled into the house. It was weird being there without Grandma, but having Mr. Whiskers around helped. He was a constant reminder of her quirkiness, her stubbornness, and her ultimate final lesson to the family. The first month was quiet. The family was in shock. They took their $50,000 checks and vanished. But $50,000 doesn't last long when you have Linda's spending habits or Bob's gambling debts. 3 months later, the phone rang. Roger? It was Linda. Her voice was sickly sweet. How are you? How's the cat? Mr. Whiskers is great, I said, looking at him sleeping on a silk pillow, a requirement of the trust. He's enjoying his new heated climbing tower. That's wonderful, Linda choked out. Listen, Roger. I'm in a bit of a bind. The roof on my house, it's leaking. And the insurance won't cover it. I need $10,000. That sucks, Linda, I said. But I can't just give you money. The trust is for the cat. There's a hardship clause, she snapped, dropping the act. I read the will. It says the trustee has discretion to disburse funds for family emergencies. Ah, I said. Yes. Clause 8. Discretionary hardship. You're right. I can give you money. Great. Wire it to me. But, I interrupted. There's a condition. To qualify for hardship funds, the beneficiary must demonstrate familial bond by attending a Sunday dinner at the estate. With Mr. Whiskers. Silence. You want me to have dinner with the cat? Grandma wanted the family together, I said. She wrote it into the bylaws. Sunday at 6 p.m. I'll cook. Mr. Whiskers will be at the head of the table. If you can get through dinner without insulting him, the house, or me, I'll consider the roof. You are a tyrant, she hissed. I'm a trustee, I corrected. See you Sunday. Sunday came. I set the table. Fine china. Crystal glasses. And at the head of the table, I placed a booster seat with a velvet cushion. Mr. Whiskers sat there, looking regal. Linda arrived. Bob arrived. He needed money for a business investment. Even my cousins showed up. They walked in looking like they were marching to a prison sentence. Hello, family. I smiled. Please sit. They sat. They looked at the cat. The cat looked at them. He let out a low meow. He wants his appetizer, I translated. I placed a crystal dish of high-grade tuna tartare in front of Mr. Whiskers. Are you kidding me? Bob muttered. He eats better than we do. He's the heir, Bob, I reminded him. Show some respect. We ate. It was the most awkward meal of my life. Linda tried to ignore the cat, but Mr. Whiskers, sensing the tension, or perhaps just being a cat, decided to jump onto the table and walk directly toward her. He stopped in front of her plate. He sniffed her roast beef. Get him away, Linda whispered, freezing. He's just saying hello, I said. Pet him. I hate cats, she gritted out. Clause 8 says demonstrate familial bond, I said, cutting a piece of steak. Petting is bonding, Linda. She reached out a trembling hand. She touched the cat's head. 1 stroke. 2. Mr. Whiskers purred. He rubbed his cheek against her hand. There, I said. See? He likes you. Linda pulled her hand back and wiped it on her napkin. Can I have the check now? She asked. After dessert. I smiled. We did this every month. Whenever they needed money, which was often, they had to come. They had to play nice. They had to watch a cat live in luxury while they begged for scraps. It was petty. It was beautiful. One night, after a particularly grueling dinner where Bob had to watch Mr. Whiskers play with a toy mouse that cost more than Bob's watch, he cornered me in the kitchen. This is ridiculous, Roger, Bob said. The cat is 3 years old. He could live another 15 years. Are we going to do this forever? Probably, I said. Unless he dies. Bob's eyes went dark. Accidents happen. Bob, I leaned in. Remember the necropsy clause? If he dies, and the vet finds anything suspicious, anything at all, the police come for you. And the money goes to the shelter. You get nothing. It is in your best interest to keep this cat alive. In fact, you should be praying for his health every night. Bob stared at me. He realized the trap. He wasn't just cut out. He was now the cat's reluctant bodyguard. If anything happened to Mr. Whiskers, Bob lost his safety net. Fine, Bob grunted. Does he need vitamins? I can get vitamins. He's on a strict regimen, I said. But thanks for caring. Years passed. The family stopped fighting. They accepted their fate. They actually started bringing Mr. Whiskers gifts. Not because they loved him, but because I told them, gift-giving increased the likelihood of approval for their hardship requests. Linda knitted him a sweater. Bob built him a custom scratching post. It was bizarre. It was a cult of the cat. And then, last week, Mr. Whiskers got sick. He stopped eating. He was lethargic. I took him to the vet. The diagnosis was kidney failure. Common in older cats, but he was only 8 now. I sent a group text. Mr. Whiskers is in the hospital. It's serious. They all showed up. They sat in the waiting room. Linda was crying. Is he going to make it? She asked. I don't know, I said. If he dies. Bob started. If he dies, the money goes to the shelter, I said. The trust closes. They weren't crying for the cat. They were crying for the bank account. Mr. Whiskers pulled through. He's a fighter. We brought him home yesterday. He's resting on his heated bed. I sat with him last night, scratching behind his ears. I looked at the bank statement for the trust. The investments had done well. The balance was now nearly $3 million. I thought about the letter Grandma left. If you had visited me half as often. They visited the cat. They brought him gifts. They checked on his health. In a twisted way, Grandma got exactly what she wanted. She forced them to care for something other than themselves. She forced them to be a family, united by a shared dependence on a 10-pound ginger tabby. I'm going to use some of the management fee to renovate the kitchen. Mr. Whiskers likes to sit on the counter, and I think he deserves marble. And as for the family? Linda called this morning. She wants to bring him a get well soon basket. I told her to come over. After all, Sunday dinner is coming up. And Mr. Whiskers is hungry. So tell me, am I the monster for holding my family hostage with a cat trust fund, or did Grandma just teach them the most expensive lesson of their lives?
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.